She stood outside the small shoe shop, her hands trembling as she clutched the worn invitation to her graduation. The glass reflected her anxious face, tired eyes, cheap dress, and sandals that had more holes than straps. Behind that glass were the shoes she'd been dreaming about for months, plain, black, elegant, the kind that whispered confidence. The kind she couldn't afford. "Can I borrow your shoes for my graduation?" she asked softly, her voice barely more than a breath as the man behind the counter looked up from his phone. He blinked, taken aback, unsure if he heard right. Borrow? No one had ever asked to borrow shoes before. Most people just haggled for discounts or left quietly when they couldn't pay. But there was something different about this girl. Something in the way her hope still burned, even though life had clearly tried to snuff it out. He put his phone aside and studied her. Her dress was faded but carefully pressed. Her nails were clean, though her hands bore calluses. She didn't look like she wanted pity. She looked like someone fighting to stand tall one last time, even if the world refused to give her shoes to do it. He smiled faintly. "You want to borrow them?" She nodded quickly, embarrassed. "I'll bring them back tomorrow. I just need them for a few hours, for pictures. It's my graduation day, and I don't want to look poor in front of everyone. My mom worked so hard for me to reach this day. She's coming. I just want her to see me looking decent." There was a pause, one heavy enough to make her heart race. He leaned forward, elbows on the counter. "What's your name?" "Lena," she whispered. "Well, Lena," he said slowly, "you can take them. But you'll have to promise me one thing." Her eyes widened. "Anything!" He smiled, but there was something unreadable in it. "Promise me you'll never stop chasing what you deserve. Shoes or no shoes." She didn't understand why his tone sounded so personal, so heavy with something unsaid, but she nodded anyway, clutching the box like treasure. She had no idea that the man before her wasn't just the shopkeeper. He was the owner of the entire chain, a self-made CEO millionaire who had once stood barefoot in the same struggle she now faced, and that was the beginning of something neither of them expected. The next morning, he found himself thinking about her more than he wanted to. Lena. The name lingered like a song that wouldn't leave. He had been in her place once, young, proud, poor. But he had never seen anyone with eyes so alive despite it all. That afternoon, curiosity got the better of him. He closed his laptop, canceled a meeting, and quietly drove to the local college campus. He told himself it was coincidence, just a drive, nothing more. But when he saw her across the courtyard, standing in her old white dress and borrowed shoes, his chest tightened. She looked radiant. Not because of what she wore, but because of the light in her smile, the kind that came from surviving. Her mother stood beside her, tears glistening as she pinned Lena's graduation cap straight. They took pictures, laughed, hugged, the kind of pure, fleeting moments that reminded him what success was supposed to mean. Then came the moment that changed everything. As Lena stepped onto the small stage to receive her degree, one of the straps of the borrowed shoes snapped. She stumbled, not enough to fall, but enough to draw laughter from a few in the audience. Her cheeks burned crimson. For a heartbeat, shame flooded her eyes, but then she lifted her chin. She smiled, adjusted her balance, and walked the rest of the way barefoot, her head held higher than anyone's. The man watching from the back of the crowd felt something stir deep inside him. Pride, respect, and something warmer he couldn't name. He had seen women in designer heels crumble under pressure, but this girl, she had grace that no money could buy. When the ceremony ended, she sat alone under a tree, holding the broken shoe in her lap. She didn't cry. She just sighed, a soft sound of both relief and defeat. That's when he walked up quietly, holding a small white box. "You forgot something," he said gently. She looked up, startled. "You came?" he smiled. "I thought I'd check if you kept your promise." She frowned. "What promise? That you wouldn't stop chasing what you deserve, even when your shoes give up on you." She laughed, the sound trembling between disbelief and gratitude. "Guess I didn't make it very far." He knelt down, opening the box to reveal a new pair of elegant heels. not just shoes, but the same model her idols wore in magazines. "You made it further than most people ever do," he said softly. "And I don't lend twice, Lena. This time they're yours." Her lips parted in shock. "I can't take these. They're too expensive?" He finished. "So was your effort. So was your dream. Let someone finally give you something without asking for it back." She swallowed hard, blinking back tears. "Why are you doing this for me?" He hesitated, the question slicing through his silence. Then, after a long pause, he said quietly, "Because once, I was the boy who couldn't afford shoes for my graduation either. Someone believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Maybe it's my turn to return the favor." She stared at him, really stared, and for the first time, noticed the confidence in his posture, the expensive watch. "The sleek car parked nearby. Who are you?" she whispered. He smiled, eyes soft. "Just someone who knows how far a pair of shoes can take you." Weeks passed. Lena started her first job. Nothing glamorous, but honest work. Sometimes she'd glance at those heels in her closet and smile, remembering the stranger who'd shown her what kindness looked like. But one morning, when she walked into her new company's headquarters for an interview promotion, her heart stopped. Behind the glass wall of the executive office stood the same man, the shoe shopkeeper, except now he was in a tailored suit, surrounded by assistants calling him Mr. Adrian. Their eyes met. Recognition, shock, and then a smile. When the meeting ended, he walked up to her quietly. "So," he said, tilting his head with that same half-smile, "still chasing what you deserve?" She nodded, breathless. "More than ever," he smiled. "Good, because I might have just the place for someone like you." And as they stood there, the poor girl who once borrowed shoes, and the man who had built an empire from the ground up, it was clear. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can walk you straight into destiny because he hadn't just given her shoes that day. He'd given her belief. And she hadn't just borrowed them. She'd walked in them bravely into a life she never imagined she could have. And as she looked at him now, smiling through tears, she realized maybe he hadn't just changed her life. Maybe, in some quiet way, she had saved his too.